Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus Dominion painting tutorial, and today we are painting Hobgrot Slittaz. Yep, we're doing the big Horde. Now, for the purposes of this video, we'll be focusing on this 5, but we are painting the rest of the set at the same time. I've already done 10, got the recipe on lock. I've got the remaining 5 here to the side, but I only have 5 painting handles, and well, for the purposes of this video, filming just with these 5, this is pretty much the variation that you're going to see in this set. So, without further ado, we can get straight into painting them, and well, they've been primed in grey Seer, and the first thing we're going to do is going to put a couple of them to one side. But the place we're going to start is we're going to start on all of their flesh. Now the colour we're going to be making is a roughly 2 parts Snakebite Leather to 1 part Nazdreg Yellow mix. And this gives us that kind of dark, swampy, but also very unique skin tone that the Hobgrot Slittaz have. So what we do is we take this on our brush and we just start painting it all over all of their skin, like this. Now the Nazdreg Yellow really does act for kind of giving us that kind of quite browny, but kind of murky skin tone that we're absolutely after. And of course the Snakebite Leather is there to really kind of provide, whoop, this one's popped out of his base. We'll just remove him just for a second. We'll actually add some glue to him. He's going to be doing that for the entire video. So we'll just do that. Like so. We'll get this all over the rest of the foot. Well, leg. We want to get it all over the kind of claws as well, because that's kind of part of it. As well as when we get to the face, we want to do it over the fangs as well. So we'll just now pop him back in his base just for a few minutes, because we can focus on the torso. We're going to get a reasonably smooth coat here. We're just going to kind of use nice controlled brush strokes and make sure we don't have too much on our brush. And if we do have too much on our brush when we come to make a brush stroke, kind of like I did there on his side just a second ago, I'm going to move quite quickly and just move the paint around until it's no longer blobby and dark. He's about to make a breakaway from his base again. As I say, we want to do this over all of his skin. And come to the face. Let's not forget to do that hand, eh? Like that. And one thing I think it's very important to point out at this point is that he does have ears. Now, this sounds weird, but with the helmets it's very easy to miss the ears, so just make sure you don't forget to do them at the same time, like that. There we go. Lovely stuff. So we want to go around all of our Hobgrots like this, and then we'll come back. And so with that done, and he is now properly fixed to his base, you should have some beautifully shaded looking Hobgrot skin. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on, we're going to continue with the base coats, and the colour we're going to be using first is Blood Angels Red. I'm going to be using this for all of the lower ropes. So areas down here, like that. We're not going to be doing it around the top. Now don't worry if you've got some of your Snakebite Leather, Agaros Dunes mix on top of these ropes. The Blood Angels Red will cover over it nicely, and if anything it'll just lend to the kind of effect to give you a little bit of variation in there. However, if you are worried about it, you can just cover over it with some Grey Seer and then do this step. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Gore-Grunta Fur. I'm going to use this for the top rope. See, these are just the ones that go around their necks. And again, you don't need to worry if you've got some of the Snakebite Leather Nazdreg Yellow mix over the top, because it covers over it perfectly fine. Just like that. I should point out that on this noisemaker, this instrument player, we've also painted in this rope with the Blood Angels Red. And with that done, what we now want to do is we're going to take some Wyldwood. We'll use this to colour in their trousers. Well, pants really. Not big enough to be trousers. Just like this. What we also want to do is we want to use this Wyldwood to paint in the wraps on any of their slitter knives. Like so. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some thinned down Leadbelcher. I'm going to use this for all of our silver details. And these are going to include the majority of the armor pieces, so areas like their chest plates and their helmets and their kind of, you know, hip guards, these areas just here. Like so. What we want to do is we want to avoid anywhere that's got like runes carved into it. So for example, these two here on the groin. We also want to paint in the grenades, the sulfuric scrap grenades. That's what I believe they're called. Like so. And of course, as I say, any of the blades and things like that. Any other areas that you want to be silver. Now, there's two different silvers that are happening on these models, because the majority of the armor is kind of like a blackened metal. So you've got, for example, these chest plates and things, these are going to be a blackened metal, whereas like the blades and like the hook on his hand there, they're going to be silver. So you've actually got two different types of metal that you're doing at the moment with the Leadbelcher. Just want to go around all of these areas like this, picking out any of the areas that you want to be blackened or you want to be silver. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some thinned down Runelord Brass. I'm going to use this to colour in all of the remaining metallics. So all of those kind of glyph plates For example, just down here. Like that. We've got the kind of base of the hook hand, and we've got the pommel and the guard on the knife. Got just here on the handle of the grenade as well, and we've got this kind of chevron type thing here on the helmet as well. Just like that. We'll finish him up in just a second, because what we're going to do is just going to demonstrate similarly on the standard bearer, or scrap totem, I believe it's called. I'm going to colour in similarly the glyph plates as well. Glyph plates? Glyph plates. Up here, like that, front and back, and similarly for all the rest of the details on him. And for our noisemaker, we also want to paint in the instrument itself. As you can see, I've coloured in the little ringed bandings. In silver. So I won't be covering those again, but you know what I mean. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some skeleton horde. We're going to use this to paint in all of the skulls. Now on this banner bearer, we've got one here on the top of the standard. You just want to get this all over. Like so. And on a couple of the other guys, they've got them on their belts. So this one has got one just there. Like that. So with that done, what we now want to do is we want to use some Black Templar. We're going to use this in a couple of different places. Now first off, we want to do this all over the top of the chest armor, the helmet, and the kind of hip plates. Still haven't figured out what they're called. Like that. What we also want to do is we want to use this Black Templar to colour in their toes, and their fingernails, their teeth, and their eyes. So you just want to do this all over the eye, including the bottom eyelid, like that. Similarly again, demonstrate on this guy for his eyes. Like that. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Volupus Pink. I'm going to use this on the poison dripping from the sword. Or is it just a big slitter knife? I don't know. Who can say? So with that done, it's now time to add some shades to the model. So what we're going to do is going to put him to one side, because the first shade we're going to be using is Basilicanum Grey, and this is also going to be acting as a base coat for our standard here. Now the colour we're using, as I say, is Basilicanum Grey, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using this all over all of our silver that remains, so not the black details that we've now painted in, but as I say, we're also going to paint this over the top of that wood as well. Just like this. You've got that cross piece there on the standard. We can also use it over the top of those little ties there. Just like this. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some Fyreslayer Flesh and use this to shade the rest of our metallics. For example, all those runic plates. And with that done, we're then going to take some Wyldwood. I'm going to use this over the top of the grey on our banner pole. And across the cross piece as well. And with that done, our Hobgrots are now at what I would call pretty much a battle ready level. All of their base coats are on and they look pretty good. But what we're going to do now, we're going to take them to the next level. We're going to start by adding some highlights to our metallics. Now, the place we're going to start is with the black armor. And what we want to do is, rather than having them kind of like clean, straight highlights, we want to add kind of scratchier highlights, and we don't want it to be absolutely perfect because this is quite dirty, battered armor. So what we're doing is we're taking some iron hand steel and we're going to be dry brushing it. And I'm going to be using the STC Dry S brush from Citadel. This is a really, really nice line of brushes. And all you want to do is just very carefully want to pick out the black armor. And what we can also do is we can dry brush our weapons and things like that as well. Just so, again, they don't get that kind of straight perfectness. They look a little bit more lethal when they're a bit scratchy, like so. Like I said, we just want to be very careful as we do this with the iron hand steel, so as not to get this all over the place. So just take your time picking these areas out. And there are some areas where dry brushing isn't entirely appropriate. For example, the cuff just here. It's actually easy just to add a little bit of a edge highlight on those. So if you want to, you absolutely can, but you don't have to. The main thing is that we get these main areas just like this, done like that. And with that done, you should have some Hobgrots that look like this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some extra highlights. I'm going to be picking out all of those areas that we originally did with the Runelord Brass. And the colour we're going to be using is Sycorax Bronze. I'm just adding a little highlight here to all of the edges. Just like this, just to give it a little bit of brightness. And with that done, what we now want to do is we want to take some Morghast Bone. We want to use this to highlight all of the flesh. And what we just want to do is we just want to pick out the sharpest areas on areas like the face. Like so. And similarly, various scars and things. Around their bodies. We also just want to add a little bit of a highlight to some of the muscles. Like this. And with that done, our Hobgrots look pretty awesome. So what we're going to do now, just going to take a tiny amount of Evil Sunz Scarlet. I'm going to use this to colour in their eyes. Just like this. With the eyes done, what we then want to do is take a tiny amount of Fulgrim Pink. We want to use this to highlight the poison by just kind of picking out the highest and sharpest areas in it. Just like that. And with that done, all that's left to do is to add a little bit of Stormvermin Fur to their teeth. There's a little highlight. As well as their claws on their hands and feet. Just like that. And there we have it, the Ravenous Horde, or the Marauding Horde, or just, you know, your average horde of Hobgrot Slittaz are now finished, and they look really awesome as a team of 20. I really can't wait to run these guys on the tabletop. I think they're just so cool and really grim and horrible. Really horrible. I really liked painting them. The recipe is really unique, and the tones that we managed to get out of that Snakebite Leather and Nazdreg Yellow is absolutely perfect for their skin, and I couldn't be happier with that. Really, it's a paint I haven't used very much, Snakebite Leather. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Alternatively, you can now become a YouTube channel member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, just like these absolute bosses have done. And if you just want to shoot me a little thanks, just because you really love this video, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.